Greetings and konnichiwa, and welcome back to the Onyx Tavern Vlog series on ToQger. Today we will be covering Station 4 of ToQger, Be Aware of the Things That You Lose. Now, I want to say before we actually get started on the actual vlog right here that if I haven't made it apparent in the past, I am really bad at pronouncing Japanese names, something that I'm hoping to get better at. So if I go ahead and say something in Japanese which is horribly butchered or just incorrect altogether, I apologize for that. And if I sometimes have to go ahead and just simplify names, like on Blue Ranger, Yellow Ranger, I apologize for that as well. But I am going to go ahead and make an actual attempt to pronounce the Rangers' names, no matter how difficult they are. So, that being said, this episode primarily focuses on Tokatti, and I hope I got that name right. And not only Tokatti, but also his relationship with Mio, the Yellow Ranger. The premise of the episode, and it's a pretty decent episode, I think. What I like about this is that it's primarily character building, not only for our heroes, but like a lot of these episodes are actually adding some elements to the plot and filling in the backstory. And here's what I mean by that. So Tokatti loses his rainbow pass, is no longer able to get back onto the rainbow line. And Mio's got to help him as he takes the long way by walking, by bus, to get to the battles, since Ticket Conductor will not let him on without a pass. Now, as I stated before, I like the idea of implementing this security system to make sure only the heroes go on. And Ticket, I think it was Ticket that made a good point that they don't do face recognition, which is great, because how many times have we seen both in Power Rangers and Sentai where the villains have gotten into the base somehow by looking like our heroes without any actual credentials, only just visually that's what they look like and that's how they get in. So it helps. It's great that that was established in the first episode, and it makes sense that they went ahead and included that. But now we get the payoff for it in this episode. There's probably going to be payoff later down the line, but it helps towards Tokatti's character. And primarily what his character is that he doesn't know why he's on the ToQger. Because Wright and Mio, as he explains, are good fighters. The Green Ranger, whose name escapes me, is smarter than him, and Kakura, the Pink Ranger, she can be stronger than she appears, and she has a great sense of imagination. So he's got this self-doubt about himself and why he's there. He looks at himself as the weak link here. And the thing is, Mio has a similar, not so much inferiority complex, but she's questioning why she's chosen a ToQger. Now the problem is, I think we're kind of backtracking a little bit. Like, I think we've already addressed this in a couple of previous issues. And this is similar to the issue we had with Kakura in the previous episode. However, her motives were a little bit different. So I'm not exactly sure why the same self-doubt is being repeated here. But what I like about this is that we actually have a budding friendship between the two. One could say it could possibly be romantic down the line. It's anyone's guess at this point, but the fact of the matter is that it's not one character develop himself, but two characters developing with each other, and I like that relationship aspect. And even though it does seem like we are retreading the same kind of storyline previously, not to mention previous other storylines, I do like the whole self-worth, and they come to learn that they are strong, that they are important. Now, where this differs from, say, Super Mega Force and what's going on with Noah is it just feels more genuine with these characters given their situation, because they don't know anything about their past, who they really are, and why they were all chosen as ToQger. In the situation of Noah and what his situation is that, you know, he's chosen by Gosei as, you know, he thinks he's the smartest. He actually has credentials backing up why he should be a ranger. So any real self-doubt that he has is really artificial, because I guess in the sense of Gosei, you know, he's a qualifying factor saying you belong here because, and he's a supreme authority. But in ToQger's case, Tokatti, the reason he can be like this is that there isn't much information, there's no qualifying. It seems almost random that they became ToQger because they're from the same town and have strong imaginations. And of course, he feels that he's the weak link because he doesn't think his imagination is strong. At the beginning of the episode, his whole thing was, I want to improve my imagination skills. Even when he's going on a shopping spree at the beginning, he is getting books and tons of books. Now, I don't know what they say, but I'm going to go ahead and imagine that he's trying to learn something, or art books or something to expand his mind. So we see that he's at least trying and doesn't have a magical iPad with all the answers. Nevertheless, I like what they're doing with the relationship dynamic of these two, because once again, we have a flashback to when Tokatti and Mio were kids in a similar situation while she was falling from a tree. And she learns to trust him. And I think that's important, because when you're in a situation where you don't have all your memories and you have no real reason to trust everybody, to have something like that to the one person you can trust is the Blue Ranger, I like that. That they can have this friendship between them, and if something happens, they know they can actually trust each other, or at the very least, Mio trusts Tokatti in this. So I think that's pretty good. Couple of other moments. We got the baby again with General Schwartz. I'm still perplexed as far as what's going on with that, but we'll see what happens. And basically the baby, she helps him in his plan because he wants to learn about the ToQger Resha so he can develop new and more powerful vehicles, which is great. That's what the villain should be doing. He should be more proactive there. Although something I did find a little bit odd, because in the previous episode, General Schwartz states that he will not use clothing that fell on the floor again, which is why the giant baby is holding his handkerchief. Yet the baby writes her plan or idea to Schwartz on a piece of paper, which he picks up off the floor. So I just find it kind of odd that he won't pick clothing off the floor that he's dropped, especially a handkerchief, but he will pick a piece of paper off the floor. I don't know if that's an issue in continuity, or if I don't know if it even means anything. If maybe it was just a conceit in the original episode to get his handkerchief in the hands of the baby, and a conceit here to get the plan going without being more obvious from the baby's part. But again, I like that villain is being proactive in what he's doing, and of course his reveal to the ToQgers, however so briefly, of course. The Shield Resha made its appearance in this episode. Something I'm a little confused about, though, is that, first of all, the shield is vertical. It's going up and down, and it's more of a rectangle than it is, say, a square or a circle. Now, I know there are some armies that have actually used rectangular shields in history, but the problem I see with this is that it's not much wider than your standard Resha. And we know that the Megazord, or ToQger, is 5 trains long. So its actual adequate protection is limited, because they actually hold it up this way vertically, but they don't hold it this way, which would give more range across the different trains. But of course they would have to go up and down, because even height-wise. So it seems very inefficient as an actual shield. Its greater use is, of course, it can shoot the 5 laser beams, which that makes a little bit more sense if it was just like a blasting weapon. But again, as a shield, I think it's criminally ineffective. And actually what's kind of interesting is they actually show it from a 3/4 perspective when it's actually blocking the charcoal fireballs, basically. And it kind of, that way it gives the illusion it's actually providing adequate protection, but it really isn't. The shield needed to be round or much wider in order to be effective. But as a new Zord, it's okay. It's not anything big. I think they'll primarily use it for blasting purposes in future episodes. Something I am confused about in regard to the Shield Resha is, why is it not connected at the end of the rainbow line? Because it was my understanding that the rainbow line is made up of the 5 trains, but every time they get a new one, it will then be linked onto the back, and we'll have this massive super train by the series finale, made up of however many cars they're going to go ahead and have. But at the end of the episode, is it actually connected? We don't actually see the back of it after the events of the battle, but I want to know if that's something that's going to go ahead and happen. Are they actually going to go ahead and connect all the restaurants to this massive train, or is it just going to be the 5 primarily? Just a curious little thing that I'm wondering about. And I do like the idea that Schwartz has his own Megazords that his trains can turn into robots as well, and they're piloted by crows. I think it's a good addition to their arsenal, makes a pretty good threat. Although I thought that the situation was pretty easily solved by the ToQger. It's 3-on-1, and they were still able to win. Typically, in situations like that, that's when we get new Megazords. I mean, we got a new Zord, but I don't think the Shield Zord is necessarily. That doesn't scream to me it can overtake 3-to-1 odds. But there you go. The beginning of this episode was also very curious. There were a number of things I didn't really understand because we learn more about the Rainbow Line and primarily its existence. We know that only children, or more specifically, only people with imaginations can actually see the train. So we got this little kid who can see Wagon and the Rainbow Line, but his father can't say anything. He thinks he's just talking to empty space and whatnot. That being said, the Rainbow Line is actually on real tracks. So, in addition to being invisible to where nobody can actually see the train pass, what if there's an actual train there? Could people run into it, or would they fall and phase through it? Would a train phase through it? And along with that, do the ToQgers themselves, they have to be visible, of course. So when they board the Rainbow Line, do people just look at them and see them vanishing into thin air? I don't really understand that. And of course, the reason that Tokatti lost his pass today was that he was out buying things with the Rainbow Pass. Now, the way it's described in the previous episodes is that they can buy food on the train on their Rainbow Pass. Now, it was my original thought that why would they have to buy anything on the train? Shouldn't there be free food available for them? There's food, but it's not free, because this episode indicates that whatever they charge on it, they're going to have to pay back. And that just brings in a whole lot of questions, because they're taking their Rainbow Passes and they're going to different places, vending machines, malls, restaurants, and scanning their pass. And I'd really like an answer to this. Anybody who knows this, is this a thing in Japan? Is there an actual thing where you have a pass or a card that you can scan? Now, I do know that train stations, they'll have the pass that you just scan and you go by, but I've never seen a vending machine with that, and I've never seen restaurants that will go ahead and do that. Because they actually show this little pad, they put the Rainbow Pass and scans it, and they're good to go. I know Visa was trying something like a quick pass where you just kind of like swipe your card in the air and it'll take it. But I've lived in Kentucky and Montana and every state in between I visit, and I've never seen anybody take that pay pass thing, or you could wave your card to do that. It's not even available. I have 3 credit cards and a bank card, or excuse me, 2 credit cards and a bank card, and none of them have that pass feature on there. So is this just a thing that's in Japan right now, or is this something that is in development and they're just messing with it in the show? I'd really like to know what the real world connection is to that. And further, if they are scanning this, what information is the merchant getting, is the restaurant getting? When they scan this, okay, let's be honest, it looks like a toy, okay? They scan this toy and it accepts it. Where are they getting their money from? Where's the Rainbow Line's bank account? Who's maintaining that account? How are they getting money in there? Or is imagination money? And if it's imaginary money, then does that mean they're actually stealing from these places? The whole concept is befuddling to me. I don't understand. I don't understand why it's in there, because it seems to me like the ToQgers would be nomads. They'd be living on the train, getting everything they need from the train, only leaving to fight and maybe explore the outside world when they need to get out. But the whole concept that they have this infinite or charge card that I don't know where it'd be linked to. I mean, it's just really confusing to me. I don't get it. And again, why do they have to go ahead and pay it back? And how would they expect to pay it back? At the end of the episode, yeah, they're doing chores, but Wagon, I think, is a robot, possibly. So you had free labor to begin with. Why do you need to... Again, I don't really understand that. And just one final note that I'm thinking of is that, so at the end of the episode, Tokatti and Mio are cleaning, and of course we've already established that they've become friends and stuff like this. Well, he accidentally falls off his ladder and falls on Mio. Well, instead of, crushing her, as most guys would when they fall off ladders on the women, they accidentally kiss. I don't know if it was intentional or accident. Tokatti tries to apologize, and then Mio slaps him. Which is actually, that falls over into the commercials with a little kind of sight gag. And it was obviously an accident. Why did Mio slap him like that? I don't get that. I guess it's played for comedy, but I feel bad for Tokatti because he spent this entire episode building this relationship with Mio. Whether it's romantic or not, he's still building a relationship with her. And then after an accident, which is an obvious accident because he fell off a ladder, I mean, how many men do you know purposely fall off a ladder and kiss a girl as they fall? Not many. But Mio reacts crazy and slaps him. I don't get that. What does that say to her character? And does it defeat... Because she says she trusts him. So she said that she doesn't trust him? I don't know, because that would seem to me that she's saying, yeah, I don't trust him enough that he would do something like this. Seems like to her she broke she lost her trust a little bit in him because she didn't think, oh my goodness, he's going to go ahead and kiss me. I don't know. That doesn't seem to... It doesn't flow well with what we've seen in the episode. And if it was written in for just comedy, well, then that should have been taken out in the rewrite. Simply because it doesn't fit for what they've learned in this episode, and I don't necessarily think it fits for the characters. But overall, again, I enjoyed the episode. Again, the good relationship building, the question of worth and all that. So we got some good things to go on moving forward. And speaking of moving forward, the next time that you'll see the vlog, we will cover Station 5 of ToQger, and hopefully we can go ahead and get caught up to the most recent episode. Sorry about that, guys. Just have a lot of work I've been doing. Got a couple of projects, but I will be getting back to you guys shortly with the next video and, of course, the podcast. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, I want to thank you guys for joining me here today. The tavern is now closed.